Am I being heard? Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्ति भेद विभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम सहना ववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। So Ramesh and Bhagyashree, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you.
So we will chant from 42 onwards. 41 in fact. Yeah. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi.
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः
एकेह कुरु नन्दन
एकेह कुरु नन्दन
बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च
बहुशाखाह्यनन्ताश्च
बुद्धयो बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम्
बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम्
यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचम्
यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचम्
प्रवदन्त्यविपश्चितः
प्रवदन्त्यविपश्चितः
वेदवादरताः पार्थ
वेदवादरताः पार्थ
नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः
नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः
कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः
कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम्
Kriya Vishesha Bahula
Bhogaishvarya gatim prati.
Bhogaishvarya Gatim Prati
Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam.
Bhogaishvarya Prasattanam
Taya pahrita chetasam.
Taya Prahruta Chetasam
Vyavasayatmika buddhihi.
Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi
Samadhau na vidhiyate.
Samadhau na vidiyate
Traigunya vishaya vedaha.
Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha
Nistraigunyo bhavarjuna.
Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna
Nirdvandvo nityasattvasthaha.
Nitvando Nityasatvastaha
Niryogakshema atmavan.
Niryogakshema Atmavan
Yavanartha udapane.
Yavanartha Udapane
Sarvatas samplutodake.
Sarvatah Samplutodake
Tavan sarveshu vedeshu.
Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu
Brahmanasya vijanataha.
Brahmanasya Vijanataha
And today we will cover the next one, 47. Karmanyeva
Karmanyeva
adhikaraste
Adhikaraste
ma phaleshu
Ma Paleshu
kadachana
Kadachana
ma karma phala
Ma Karma Pala
heturbhuhu
Heturbhuhu
ma te sangaha
Mate Sangaha
ma te sangostu
Mate Sangostu
akarmani.
Akarmani
Once again, karmanyevadhikaraste
Karmanyevadhikaraste
ma phaleshu kadachana
Ma Phaleshu Kadachana
ma karma phala heturbhuhu
Ma Karma Pala Heturbhuhu
ma te sangostva karmani.
Mate Sangostva Karmani.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you're chanting well.
Thank you.
You can remain unmuted. So we learned some important shlokas last few classes, and 41 especially Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, clarity, clear understanding of what one needs in life, what one should look for in life. And then 42, 43, 44, these three shlokas talking about those who are committed purely to bhoga and aishwarya, enjoyments and power and wealth. And so he is including a Vaidika, he is including an Avaidika also. And only difference is one person uses the Vedas also to accomplish the same ends, and the other person doesn't know that the Vedas exists. That person also is committed to bhoga and aishwarya. So you can include both. But then Shankaracharya is not focusing so much on this Nastikas and all that. And he's saying he's focused on those days Vaidikas everywhere you go. So Shankara's time was, according to one, It is about 700 in the 8th century, current era. Another count, it goes 2500 before current era, BCE. So regardless, it's at least it's 1500, 1400 years ago. So that time, it's hard for us to imagine what kind of life they would have led. So we can only infer from the things we read. So it was a Vedic society where they were all committed. They were all Vedikas, and getting up in the morning, and then if Indus Valley civilization, we've heard Saraswati River, the civilization grew along the river. So this Gangecha Yamune Chaiva, that's how the day starts. And then Surya, welcoming Surya, Aditya Bhagavan. Like this, the life started. And the Vedas was the one that ruled the hearts of Indians. Even southernmost part of India, Tamil Nadu, Bharadiyar says, Vedam Nirainda Nadu. He says Tamil Nadu. Because there are people in Tamil Nadu who say we have nothing to do with Vedas. But Bharadiyar says that. Subramanya Bharati, he says that. Therefore, Shankara, look at that. He is focusing only on Vedikas. And he criticizes those people who are doing this for the sake of going to heaven. If heaven is your goal, if enjoyment is your goal, yes, Vedas will give you that. You already figured it out. But hey Arjuna, you watch out. So we have to be careful when we say these lokas. There are very traditional people. And you don't tell them, I'm going to chant Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. Okay? You have to be careful. Traditional people, they're all committed to, Veda Patishalas and all that. And they're teaching Karma Kanda to children and so forth. They're all very committed people. But they're not given to Bhoga and all. Don't get me wrong. But because it seems to criticize the Vedas, doesn't really criticize the Vedas. It may be taken as criticizing the Vedas. It only criticizes people who don't think properly. That's what it criticizes. So you need to be careful there. And so 55 or 45, he is saying, Trigunya Vishaya Vedaha, Nistraigunyo Bhavaji. He spent a lot of time on that. So here, Arjuna, be somebody who is not governed by these 3 gunas. Lifelong, we are constantly searching for these gunas, and our gunas are there. And be somebody who is given Sattvastaha Bhava, Nitya Sattvastaha Bhava. Be one who is committed to knowing what is what, knowing what is Atma, knowing what is Ishvara. These are the questions you must ask. And know. Okay, we saw all that. And then Yavan Artha Udapane makes it gives a simile, a metaphor to say, for a jnani, for one who has already known what's what, then for that person Vedas really serves no purpose. That is what he's saying. It's again a bold statement. And so that's another reason we first of all, we shouldn't take this shloka to mean Vedas are not useful. I don't have to chant anything. I don't have to do my pujas, Nitya Naimittika karmas. No. We are supposed to do Nitya Naimittika karma. That is why we are here today. Without all those karmas, we wouldn't be here. Sometime, somewhere, we would have done it. We would have had that vision. That is why this teaching attracts us. Therefore, keep that in mind, in the back of your mind. And so we are now here at this 47th verse. So it's an important verse because it talks about the attitude of Karma Yoga. It states a fact or two, which is it's important for us to keep in mind. Just for leading a sane life, just for leading a contented life, a life free of stress, free of other problems we have, just simple life, intelligent life. This shloka is very important. So we will see. So here, if you look at the shloka, Karmani eva adhikaraha te. So, this shloka many of you already know. And those who are getting introduced to it, we have all seen it in many places. So they will have this big picture of the chariot with Krishna in the front and Arjuna in the back of the chariot. Arjuna may be kneeling down and doing namaskar to Krishna. That may be possible. But then the shloka written at the bottom is often this karmanyeva adhikaraste. Correct? And so look at that. Karmani. Karmani is the first word. So we have to split these things. Karmani is the first word, then adhikaraha, then eva, sorry, karmani, then eva, adhikaraha, te. 4 words are there in that first segment. Then in the second line, the ma phaleshu kadachana is okay. Then ma karma phala hetuhu, bhuhu, ma. Okay. So 3 words are there, which appears as karma phala hetur bhurma. So sometimes people have difficulty chanting this because they don't know how to split it. So chandas and all we have to follow in chanting. So karma phala hetuhu bhuhu ma. Then te sangaha astu akarmani. Sangaha astu akarmani will be chanted as sangostva karmani. So there are 3 words there. So the word karma occurs how many times in this shloka? Show of hands. 1, 3, 4. Okay, 3. Good. So the word karma occurs 3 times. Correct? Karmani. And then second line, karma phala hetuhu. And then again at the end, akarmani.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah.
So karma, let's understand what karma is there. What is the meaning of the word karma? So here karma does not mean, my karma, my sanchita karma, my prarabdha karma, all that. That is not the meaning of karma. Karma here means action, period. Just action, simple. So that's why we can now relate to it even better. Because it talks about action. Talks about karmani eva adhikaraha te. Adhikaraha. Karmani. Karmani means in karma, karmani eva. In karma alone, you have adhikara. You have adhikara. Means what? You have authority. You have choice. Authority means what? Choice. Decision. You can decide only when it comes to karma. And then he's going to say later, ma phaleshu kadachana. But not in the results. We'll see that later. And a very strong statement he makes. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Kadachana. Anytime. Ma kadachana. Ma here means never. Never. Ma is a strong word. It's like na. Na means no. But ma is never. Ma kadachana means not at any time. Means what? Never at any time. Ma kadachana. Never at any time what? Adhikaraha. Bring that adhikaraha again. That choice, that authority you have in action. That kind of authority. Never in phaleshu. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Phaleshu means what? In the fruits of, in the results. In the results. It doesn't say what results. But it's obvious. Results of those actions over which you have authority. Over which you have choice. So karma phaleshu ma kadachana adhikaraha asti. Karma paleshu ma kadachana adhikara asti. You don't have any authority over the results. You cannot decide what the results are. This thinking governs our society. Our entire culture is governed by this. And now the next line also. We'll come to the next line, also an important line. So now, kartum shakyam. Shastram says very well. This free will is there with us. This much we know. And that free will is there. That choice is indicated here by Sri Krishna by saying, Karmani eva adhikarahati. Eva there means where? Alone. In karma alone. In karma only you have choice. He says that. So you are a karmadhikari. That is another way to put it. You are a karmadhikari. As opposed to what? So comparing ourselves to animals. Both are jivas. An animal is a dog is a jiva, cat is a jiva. And I am also a jiva. And living beings, elephant also is a jiva. So if you want to compare to another animal that lives as long as a human being, so you've got all these things. Turtle is a jiva. Now, they also have a long life, or at least as long a life as a human being. But then they are not karmadhikaris. So that much we know. They have some choice in action, but they are governed by instincts, purely instincts. Purely instincts. The dog doesn't decide to do certain things. That is what we mean when we say no choice. Apparently, it seems to decide, okay, I want this, okay, the master is here, I want to see him, go there, wag the tail. Okay, now the food is there outside, he has kept, so I must go outside. So there are certain things it does, but it's all governed by instincts. No deliberation involved. Okay? Therefore, comparing myself to that animal, I can see I have choice. Lot of choice. Every moment I exercise my choice. This is very clear. So when Krishna says this, when he says you have choice over action but not over results, Krishna is not giving an advice. Not giving an advice. What is an advice? Advice means what? I suggest you postpone your trip to next week. Okay? Or that is an advice, suggestion. You can do many things. You can do it today, you can do it tomorrow, you can do it next week. I suggest you postpone it to next week. Advice. But here, something is a statement of fact. Statement of fact. Like 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. The teacher is teaching the children. And the teacher is a PhD in mathematics. And he went all over the world, worked in big companies, he returned, he decided I'll come back to India, I'll settle in a village and I want to teach children. So he goes, he sits in a classroom that doesn't even look like looks like it's going to fall down anytime. And children are there. There are no tables, no chairs proper. But he decides I'm going to teach them mathematics. And big Vidwan, so mathematics, people have sought him out in big companies. And this man is teaching mathematics. 2 plus 3, addition is teaching. Guess what? Despite all his education, he has no choice. In saying 2 plus 3, he has to say it is 5. He has to teach it is 5. He can't change. Why he can't change? Because it's a statement of fact. All these are facts. 1 kilogram is equal to how many grams? Well, that is not in your hands, my dear. It is a fact, and 1 kilogram is 1000 grams, period. So there are facts which we all are aware of. We go to school to study facts. Okay. So this statement comes in that category of a fact, which we have to understand. We have to understand. Why we have to understand this? If it seems obvious to you right now, that's good. That's nice. But then the second portion of the first line, Ma Phaleshu Kadachana, you don't have any authority over the results, it says. No, that is where it is, because I decide my future. I decide what I want to do based on what I want. So this is how our life is. And so when things don't work out, we are upset, we are frustrated. And so the question here is, have we really assimilated this fact? That is why Krishna is actually telling Arjuna, why should Arjuna need this statement, hear this statement? He's a man of action, he's an ambitious man, he did so much, he can accomplish so many things, he's about to win the war, huge war. And he's, of course, he did win, and so much he can do. And he's told, you are not the author of results of your action. You don't have any control over the results. So we need to spend some time. And typically, this is the shloka where this concept is unfolded better. So here, this in verse number 48. In verse number 48, so yogastha kuru karmani, which we will study later, there this idea of samatvam is introduced. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Like that the shloka ends. Okay, 48. So there Krishna is actually defining karma yoga. One of the aspects of karma yoga, samatvam. Samatvam means accepting the results as prasada. Anything that happens, whether I expected the result, or whether the outcome is more than what I expected, less than what I expected, I accept it as prasada. So that idea is presented as samatvam in 48. Okay. Then in 50, so buddhi yukto jahati hai ubhe sukrita dushkrite tasmat yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Then the second aspect of karma yoga is mentioned by Krishna. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. So there, doing your actions. So samatvam is with respect to results, how I deal with results, how I deal with outcomes. But the second part of the definition is, how do I do things? When I do, what kind of attitude I must have? So the attitude kaushalam is described here. So ishwararpana buddhi, and keep actions in keeping with dharma, because I can do things in so many ways. Then let dharma govern my actions. Those two are being mentioned. Yeah. So those two we have to invoke here also. Samatvam and kaushalam. Those two are samatvam, kaushalam. Samatvam is with respect to results. Kaushalam with respect to actions. Okay. Now, so karma yoga. Think karma yoga. And in karma yoga, of course, karma yoga does not exist without karma, without action. Karma yoga is needed because I am a karmi. Karmi means I am an actor. Constantly I am doing. And so karma yoga is needed because I do things, but then I struggle when things don't work out the way I want. So samatvam, let's understand samatvam a little bit, what samatvam means. Sama, we saw that before. Sama, sameness of mind. Sameness. Attitude of sameness. I see things, I accept things with an identical frame of mind. That is the meaning. So what can the sameness be? What can that sameness refer to? Is the question. Can it refer to action? Can it refer to action? Means actions, are all actions same? Can all actions be the same? That is not possible. Actions cannot be the same. And getting up is one type of action. Going out to work is one type of action. Going to the temple also is going, but going to a different place. Similar action, but end result is different. Cooking is a different action. And within cooking, there are so many actions: cutting the vegetables, washing the vegetables, Boiling, everything is different. So actions cannot be same. So the samatvam cannot refer to karma. Karma samatvam nasti. Actions are different by nature, and so we can't apply the word samatvam to karma. Now, next is what? Karma phalam. Results. Can we apply that to results? Results of actions. Okay. Then also we can say every action is done with an expectation of a result. I get up from the bed so that I can walk to the wash area, and I open the faucet. When I open the faucet, I don't expect coffee to flow out of it. I expect water to flow out of it. Very clear about the result. If I want coffee, I got to do something else. I have to go to the kitchen, and then I have to do certain things. So results are all different. Very obvious there also. Going is an action, but then the result of the action is what? I keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. But where I want to go decides what the end destination is. So therefore, an action produces results, and these results are all different. So definitely Krishna cannot mean samatvam means same result. Now suppose somebody says, I went to the kitchen. The induction heater is cold to touch. Then I turned it on. I turned it on like this. And then after 5 minutes, it is still cold to touch. The water is cold to touch. Suppose somebody says. Then we have a different problem, correct? Same result, two different actions. What are the two different actions? Turning off the switch, one action. Turning on the switch is the other action. Two different actions. Producing the same result. So okay, produces the same results, but you know there is a problem. Problem is with the heater. So turning on, it doesn't really function. So that's a different problem. So actions are different. Results are always different. This is not very difficult. What about desires? Perhaps desires must be identical. No, raga. Desires. So I start. Desires is what propels me to do things. Desire is the cause of action. Raga, karma, karma phala, ityadi. Well, desires are not the same. Very obvious. Because I desire so many different things. And so I do different things and get those things that I desire. So desires cannot be same. So samatvam cannot refer to desire also. So that leaves us with this. It has to refer to karma phala, results. It has to refer to how I handle results. That is the crux of this thing. How I handle. How do I respond when things work out in a certain way? I am elated. I am I'm indifferent. I'm surprised. I'm frustrated. I'm happy. So these are all the different responses to the things that happen. And Krishna is saying here samatvam refers to karma phala. Bhavana towards the karma phala. When I get something, then how do I respond to that? That is what samatvam is being referred to. Okay. Now we'll continue this discussion. We do see the way we are wired. Karma is desire based. I have a desire, I fulfill the desires. Some of these desires can be accomplished immediately. So I want a cup of coffee. Oh, within 5 minutes it's done. 10 minutes it's done. Now, but there are other karmas that we do which take a long time to fructify. Long time. Like building a house. Like I want my child to be educated, to have a degree, etc. Takes a very long time. But regardless, the karmas we do, the actions we do are all desire based. So I'm purely driven by a particular desire we have, particular end goal we have. That's very clear. Now, in the process, when we do these things, it may give us the feeling that I know exactly what is to be done to achieve that result. I know exactly. Coffee is to be made, I know exactly what is to be done. And then it looks as though I have figured it out. And then except we don't recognize that there are many factors involved in the achievement of a result. Correct? Many factors involved. Too many factors involved. And so coffee is to be made means what? The gas must be there, or electricity must be there, or something. I mean, the source of heat must be there, taken for granted. If it is taken for granted, I'm going to be shocked one day. Correct? I'm going to experience a situation which is unusual. Why? Because there are many factors. The factor was always there. Every day the factor was there. Simple example only. Every day the factor was there, and electricity has to be there. Taken for granted. 2 or 3 factors will be there. Other things, you need a lot of factors. Electricity, why it is not there? Because there is a storm. So it's there's thunder, lightning, and all that, and so power went off. So look at all these factors that are there. Whether the outcome is a simple outcome like making coffee, or a big outcome like getting educated, getting a degree. What kind of thing that is? So we have to recognize that there are many factors. The other day, I think in a satsang we said, Swamiji gives this example, that because there are so many factors, the outcome is something I cannot decide. I may say there is a good chance that this thing will work out. That I can say. And because there are many factors, I always start my action with a prayer. Because there are too many factors. The example we gave, Swamiji used to give, is what? Crossing the road. Crossing the road. And I cross the road because I have to go somewhere to catch a bus and then go somewhere. I crossed the road and the bus came. I took the bus and went to the destination. I got exactly what I want. I'm repeating the example because if I think I told this in a satsang, but and in which not everybody was there. So then that is outcome number 1. Outcome number 2, I went, crossed the road, waited for the bus. The bus didn't come in time. I was late by 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later the bus came. So less than what I expected, because I wanted to finish so many things, and half an hour is a lot of time. So less than what I expected. So I was about to cross the road. Then there was a honk. I saw this way, and here comes my friend. And he says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going. I need to go to downtown. I had some work to do. I need to go to the store." Okay. So no problem. I'll drop you there. And great. I got a lot more than what I wanted. Because no waiting for the bus, and no waiting. Not only do you have to wait at the bus stand, but you have to wait every time somebody else gets into the bus. Keep on waiting, All these people who took buses know this very well. So no waiting, you go straight. Got a lot more than what I want. And the 4th result, of course, is there. I was crossing the road. And then few days later, I opened my eyes. I don't know, it's few days later. I opened my eyes and then I asked some fundamental questions, right? Where am I? Who am I? This who am I question, only in Bhagavad Gita class we ask this question. But I asked the question there also. Who am I? And somebody has to tell you, do you see me? Do you recognize me? Nanda, Nanda, my home, my home. My home. This is very interesting usage, my home. You know, very interesting. Because in a close relationship, you know, the Nanda, they will say, means my home. Hey, tu kaun hai? You have to say, my home is not a sentence, not a complete sentence. My home. My home, my home. Not a complete sentence. My Deepak home, my this home, my Chopra home. Something you have to say, right? But my home. Then finally he doesn't respond. Only then you have to say, I am your husband. Do you remember? You know, like that you have to say. And then still there is a stare. Okay. So this is an outcome, possible outcome. Opposite of what you want, you got. So 4 outcomes Swamiji talks about. And so this is everybody's experience. Human experience is like this. Okay. That is why we keep our fingers crossed. I like this thing. Fingers crossed. Somebody needs to tell me how they got this phrase. Fingers crossed. No, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think that's a good phrase. And that's the most practical thing to do. Keep your fingers crossed. But if you know more and more about life, what we must do is we must also keep our toes crossed, you know. Fingers crossed, toes also crossed. Because who knows? Who knows? Long ago, this thing was there. There was a meeting in the company where I was working, and I ended up getting invited to a high-level meeting. High-level meetings and all, you know, it's a big problem. You tell me what to do, I'll get it done, and I'll be happy. I can present it, etc. No, you need to come to this meeting. Big VP is coming and global VP of this, VP of that, and I got invited. A nice man, very intelligent man, unusual because he's not simply business driven, but he knows what's what. So I think he appreciated the type of work I did, and so I got invited. And so I'm sitting next to him also. And the meeting is going on, they're talking big projects. And then the time to talk about my projects came. And just 5 minutes it was talked about. And he wanted this project done, which is good because my selling this project to the company, it won't work out. Because you got to convince all these managers and directors that they won't agree with each other. And so this man is pretty smart, he wanted it done. So he looked at me and said, Jaykumar, you're going to do it, right? He said, that's it. That's the only sentence he spoke to me. You want to do it right. Now, that was the time I was studying Bhagavad Gita also. And a lot of things going on. And I'm thinking here, do it right means what? These people have to come together. They have to all agree with a lot of things. And he's looking at me, that is correct, because I'm the only guy who can do this. And so he got the right person. But outcome, I was thinking, this is 1 year, 1.5 years it's going to take. People have to agree with all these things. Funds have to be approved. And you will come here today, you will go away. And then who will I deal with? I have to deal with all these fellows. If you're here every day, then I can do it. So suppose I tell him, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Suppose I quote that to him. And he's an Indian too, so he can understand. What will he say? This man is pretty smart. You know, he will say, you know what he will say? Yeah, karmanyeva adhikaro me. Me means me. Yes. Yes, I have choice over my actions. Karmanyeva adhikaro me. Okay. I will see you tomorrow morning in your offices. Okay. And we will see what can be done, what cannot be done. That's the way he will respond. Because he's very clear about what he wants, and he doesn't want to hear all these shlokas, Gita shlokas. So why I said all this idea that The results are unpredictable. You have to work hard, no doubt, to get what you want. But they don't want to hear that. Practical people will like to hear that. That's why they will ask, what are the risks that the project cannot succeed? Let's talk about the risks. Some people are very practical. They talk about these things. So let's address the risks properly and increase our chances of getting the outcome. So therefore, the outcome is unpredictable. And just when you thought you're having children and every day is unpredictable, tomorrow is unpredictable, and then he goes to high school, and then he goes to college, and you thought everything was done. 1 year into college, and suddenly he says, "Mom, I don't like chemistry." What? You, you did chemistry? You are a chemist by birth, and you applied for a great school, great chemistry department, and 1 year later he says, "I don't want to do chemistry." In India, these kinds of things won't happen. So we do whatever we are asked to do, and then we finish, get a degree, get a job, and be done with it. But America is not like that. The parent is always ready for a surprise, is it not? You all know all this. Why should I tell them? So tomorrow, we don't know what's coming next, and that's why they say, I suppose, yesterday is the past. Yesterday is gone. Yesterday is gone. Yesterday is gone, past. So you can't do anything about it. Tomorrow is future. You don't know what's going to come. The only thing you have is now, the present. That's why it's called a present. Gift. Use that. Use the present. Like that, I read a statement some time ago. I liked it very much. So the present moment and all they talk about, but I'm just saying present. Gift. So this is where adhikara will be there. The adhikara, karma, use the adhikara at the present. And don't dwell too much over the past or the future. Okay. So we are basically trying to understand this idea of action and result, which is what governs our entire life. So the jiva is basically limited in this aspect, because our commitment is not to karma, correct? We are not committed to actions. We are committed to what the actions are going to give me, correct? You don't do things for the sake of doing. You do things for the sake of results only. So my eye is on something else and I am going towards it. So commitment is not to action. I am willing to change, do different things in order to achieve what I want to achieve. So that is where our commitment is. But I am not able to get what I want, oftentimes. So what about all these Indra and Vayu and Varuna and all that? Well, they're all devas. Varuna, the god of water, devata of rain. Varuna Devata, we worship Varuna Devata. In big rituals, the first step is to avahanam of Varuna into the pot of water. We sanctify the water before using the water for the rest of the ritual. Punyaha Vachanam, very important. So look at these rituals. If you look at it and begin to understand, it's just mind-boggling how they thought through all this. And before you sanctify the water, you have to sanctify the seat on which you're sitting. You have to sanctify yourself. Then you sanctify the water. Then you use the water to do the Abhisheka to Bhagavan. Look at that. How beautiful it is. Anyway, this Varuna, this Vayu and all that, they must be powerful. Well, they have their own domains. They are heads of cabinets and they have their domains. And Indra also has to knock on Vayu's door and seek permission to enter and make his case. And like this it goes. So all of them also, they have their own limitations. They have their own limitations. Very exalted positions, but still limited. So that is why even Indra had to be taught all this Brahma Vidya by Uma Devi. You will see that when we study Kathopanishad. And so in order for things to work out exactly the way you want, what must you be? You must be all-knowing. You must be all-knowing. Everything is known. You know all the laws that are operating, and which includes all the phenomena that are happening outside, galactic phenomena, intergalactic phenomena, geophenomena, biophenomena, physiology, psychology, everything I must know, which means I must be Ishvara. Only for Ishvara, there is never a surprise. Why? Then that's because the laws are known, and so results are decided by those laws, and the one who knows the laws will know the result of any action. So one has to be omniscient in order to predict the outcomes, which we are not. So important to understand that omniscience also is there. Comes omniscience. I was thinking about it once. I asked this question to my nephews. What is SCIENCE? SCIENCE. How is it pronounced?
Science.
Science. Science. Correct? That's how we pronounce it. Sometimes they say science, they say. That is also fine. Science or science. Then you put omni in front of it. OMNISCIENCE. How is that pronounced?
Omniscience.
Omniscience. Omniscience. That's what we think. But I don't think that's the right pronunciation. They'll say omniscient, omniscience, omniscience. You may want to check that out, Ramesh ji. So another thing we learned today, how to pronounce the word omniscience. So we don't even know how to spell the word omniscience or spell and pronounce. Where is the question of talking about Ishvara and all-knowing and all that? Not possible. I think it is pronounced as omniscience. You may want to check it out. Omniscient. So I used to have fun with my nephews like this to show our Indian languages are not like this. If science is pronounced, if SCIENCE is pronounced as science, and you put omni in front of it, in Indian languages, it will be pronounced as omniscience. That's why all Indians will call it omniscience. And until you go to America, and then you decide, my God, these people don't follow anything I say. What happened? I thought I would get great marks I got in English, and I'm a good English speaker and all that. You go there, they're saying, can you say that again? And then you realize, my God, there is something called pronunciation, and they don't follow whatever I say. Anyway, this omniscience brought me these stories. But so that Ishvara, that omniscient is the only person, if we can say person, who can decide all the outcomes. But the omniscient person doesn't even have to act. Very, very interesting ideas we get from the Shastra. Doesn't even have to act. Sankalpa is all that is needed. Sankalpa, thought. So Ishvara thought, and then Akasha was formed. Space, Akasha, Vayu. From space, Vayu got formed. How did it form? Just Sankalpa, thought. How can I visualize this? From Vayu, Agni. Agni was formed. Shruti talks like this. Agni Rapaha. From fire, water principle was formed. Adhyaf Prithvi. From water, all solids, minerals, everything got formed. How long did it take? This is not the other religion which says God created the world in 6 days, and seventh day he found out there was no sun, and he created the sun. Hey, how did you have first day, second day, third day without the sun? and you're talking illogical stuff. No, it didn't take any time. Why? Because Satya Sankalpaha. This is called Satya Sankalpaha. Thought and creation. Srishti. Like what? Like you, how you do every day. Every day in your dream. Every day in your dream. What did you do to create that forest? Why forest? Because Assam floods. Very sad situation. And very sad, very sad. Itself, many areas of Assam are all flooded. People are struggling. Fortunately, good relief effort is going on, but the water is not receding. And so diseases we have to prevent. So much work is going on. And but we saw all these animals also. Kaziranga, how 90% of the forest, that particular national forest is submerged, and so many animals perished. We saw rhinoceros crossing the road, and then yesterday I saw the video of one rhinoceros that was lying on the road, and what he was trying to say is the rhinoceros must have been so tired that it is just resting on the road. Okay, didn't collapse, resting on the road. So this forest is there. Therefore, in the dream, suddenly you think of a forest, think of a mountain. How did you create this world? You just thought of it, and then it came. Correct? Can that world be real? Just thinking about it and getting a world? Well, when you were dreaming, did you think the world was real or not real? If somebody came in and said, no, there's no rhinoceros forest and all that, you're just sitting in one corner and it's so hot outside and you just went to bed. You're just dreaming, my dear. That argument will not fly. Why? Because that world is as real for the dreamer as the outside world is for the waker. So like that dream world, Ishvara, Srishti is also there. So for that Ishvara, Sarvajnaha, action is not needed at all. So this is just by the way, as we discuss this idea of karma and karma phala. So we will just need to discuss a few more topics, few more aspects of this karma and karma phala, and understand this shloka even better. And part 2 of the shloka is also there. Ma karma phala hetur bhuhu mate samgostva karmani. Very important. Second part is important because the question will arise. If I don't control the results, I'm not in control of my results. This is a dangerous thing. No CEO, no company, no manager will accept this argument. I'm not in control of anything that happens. And you can't do that. You are hired so that you can be in control of situations. Okay, so that is why I hired you. Who are you to say I'm not in control of situations? So, but because Krishna says ma karma phala hetu, I mean because phaleshu ma kadachana, he has to add a clause. We will see what that clause is later. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam lokas samastas sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasyashalini desho yam kshobarahitah brahmanas santu nirbhayah om sarve bhavantu sukhinah सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम yeah So today's audio is okay, no?